Hi guys, welcome back. For today's video I'm going to be giving you tips on how to give medication to your baby and your toddler. Now I know that there are products that you can buy on the market, but I personally feel like what's the point of paying for something if you can kind of get it done easily at home or something similar at home. So the first one we'll start with is your baby. The first tip that I can give is, if you want to give medication to your baby, is you want to kind of keep the dummy in the mouth and give them the medication. That way they'll suck on the dummy and they'll also take in the medication. Seems to work quite easily. A second tip is that you can use the nipple of your bottle and insert the syringe and give it to your baby like that. So for example here, you've got the nipple and then you've got the syringe inserted, and again, as the baby sucks on the nipple, you just release the medication and then they will just take that in easily. Third tip is that you can mix the medication in the formula. Tip number 4 is when you give them the medication, and if you're giving it through a syringe, then you leave the syringe in their mouth as you're giving the medication, so they're sucking on the syringe and taking the medication in. And my fourth and final tip is to give the medication before you give the feed. So for example, if the feed's at 4 o'clock, give the medication just before and then give them the feed straight after. That way, because they'll be hungry, they'll take it in quite easy. I, in all honesty, don't really have trouble with Alina taking her medication. I mean, she's fantastic. In any form that you give it to her, she'll take it. My boy, on the other hand, I struggle even till now. So for toddlers, the first thing that I could recommend is to mix the medication in something. So for example, you might want to mix it in some juice, jam, honey, yogurt, a little bit of Nutella. I know it's not very healthy, but to get that medication down them. Now when you're giving your toddler the medication, you want to make sure you're giving it in, so if you're adding it into something, it's a small amount, because you want to make sure that they take that so they're getting all the medication. For example, if you're giving them a cup of juice and if they take like a quarter of that cup, then the chances are they haven't taken all the medication in. So you just want to make sure that you are giving them very little, just enough for them to take the medication down. Now, if you do give it with something, sometimes toddlers, my boy does do this, so I don't personally do this for him, but it is something that you can try, because sometimes they will hold the food in their mouth, and Ismail can do it for hours on end, so I don't personally do that with him. So if they are doing that, the truth is you don't want to try that method. Another thing you can try is to gently hold their nose and to blow it in their face, because when you hold your nose, firstly, they need to breathe. So if they've got medication in their mouth, they will open their mouth to breathe. Secondly, holding your nose does generally get rid of the taste of anything, so that might be a bit easier. When you do give your medication to your toddler, talk to them, explain to them why they have to take the medication, or if you're pinching their nose, why you're pinching their nose, tell them that I'm just going to pinch your nose so you're not going to taste anything at all. You want to treat them like grown-ups, because kids love being treated like grown-ups. However, on the other hand, sometimes they love being treated like kids. So for example, when you give them the medication, you might want to, once they've had it, you might want to clap and get really joyful and give them plenty of praise. Or, they might enjoy it if you're, making a medication song or pretending to play doctor. Just something that might sort of make the process easier for them to take the medication. Once you've given the medication, you can offer your child something afterwards just to rid them of that taste if they've got it in their mouth. So when you're giving them the medication the next time, they'll relate it to that and they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, so if I take this medication, I'll get a biscuit or maybe a sweet or something. It's also related to like a reward system. So like, if you have this medication, you can have a sweet. For example, Ismail loves Tic Tacs, so when I'm giving him his medication, I'll be like, okay, so you take the medication and you can have a Tic Tac. Sometimes taking liquid medication can be a bit of a large quantity. Like for example, if you've got to give 5 mils in liquid. Now I remember when I had this with Ismail, and what I did was I went to the doctor and I said, look, I'm really struggling because Ismail has been the hardest child to take medication. You do get some toddlers where, you know, they just love it. My nephew personally, I can give him the worst tasting medication and he would take it down like he's having a sweet or some juice. But Ismail, even till now, you know, I really do struggle with him, that is the truth. Now, so what might be helpful is if you go to your doctor and then if they're able to give it in a tablet form, then what you can do is crush the tablet and put it in 1 ml of water or juice, for example, rather than having to give the 5 mils. So it might not be like, oh that's not a big difference, but honestly, when you are struggling, it helps a lot. Once your child's taken the medication, you do want to give them lots of praise, because children, I mean, to be honest with you, even adults, everybody loves praise. So when you've given them the medication and you're giving them praise, they'll feel good about themselves. You do also want to remain calm and act like it's not a big deal, because if you're seeming to be anxious or, you know, just sort of dreading it or being like, oh god, this is going to taste horrible, then your child will pick up on that, and then that'll sort of make them have that effect as well. But if you act calm and be like, it's no big deal, have your medication, then we're going to read a book, or like you can play with your Lego or something like that, then that will make them happier. If possible, always try to use a smaller syringe rather than your 5 ml or your 10 ml, just because when you give the medication, if you get it to the side of the cheek towards the back of the mouth, that's where it's, you know, one, they won't be able to spit it out as easily, and number two, there's less taste down that area. So do try and use a smaller syringe. It will just make the process easier. When you give the medication, a lot of children, I do know, will take it, but then they'll spit it out. And when they try to do that, just sort of, you know, again, maybe just gently hold their nose and blow in their face, and they'll take that medication. Because I struggled so much with Ismail even till now, and he does have to take regular medication every day, twice a day for his seizures, I have done a lot of research, and I did find another thing which truthfully has never worked for Ismail but could work for your child, which is if you apply a little bit of pressure under the chin here when they've got the medication, and apparently if you apply pressure, that will help them to swallow. It's not worked for Ismail, but it's worth giving it a try for your child. I have tried absolutely everything with Ismail. You know, I've tried it with food. The problem we've had with food is he would store it in his mouth with the medication, and he can store food for hours, and then there's points where he can even fall asleep with the food in his mouth, and it's very dangerous. Truth be told, the only thing that ever has really worked for Ismail is gently holding the nose, and then he needs to open his mouth to breathe, and then we just blow on his face and he swallows the medication. It's not pleasant. I mean, you know, it is horrible when, you know, you've got to hold their nose, or maybe sometimes if you're grabbing them from the cheeks, but if they've got to take the medication, they have to take it. Like Ismail, obviously, if he doesn't take the medication for his seizures, it can be critical to his life. So tonight I'm making the ajwain seed water, so I thought I would show you how I do it. Now, this is cool boil water. I do this once in the morning and once in the evening, and once it's cool I can use it for different things like this, and also I give it to my boy throughout the day to drink. So what we do now is we just fill the glass, and then you get the ajwain seeds, and as I explained before, it's more than a pinch really, but it's just that, and then in there, and then now I'm just going to let that sit overnight, and then in the morning I will strain it. You just want to cover that. Now this is a great money saving tip for families out there that use filtered water or mineral water. If you were to boil the kettle, let it cool, and you and your family could drink that throughout the day. Morning guys, so here I am now. I'm just going to strain the ajwain water that I soaked overnight, so I'll show you that now. So basically all I'm going to do now is strain the water into a pot. And then just put that in the fridge and that will stay for 7 days. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up and leave a comment if there are any tips that you can share which could be helpful. I mean, I'm sure all mothers would appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Bye.